My friend called me at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. I could hear it in his voice immediately. Something was wrong. Not market wrong. Not strategy wrong. Something deeper. He told me he'd just closed his platform. Down $1,800 in one session. 6 trades. All losses. And here's the thing. He's not a bad trader. I've watched him trade for 2 years. He knows what he's doing. His strategy works. His risk management is solid. So I asked him the question I always ask when something doesn't make sense. What happened before you took the first trade? He went quiet for a second. Then he said it. He'd been scrolling Twitter, saw a 22-year-old post a screenshot. $50,000 month. My friend is 28. He'd just finished his best week in months. $600. 5 clean trades. Everything done right. He was feeling good. Until he saw that post. 50,000. 22 years old. And suddenly his $600 felt like nothing. He felt behind. He felt slow. He felt like he was wasting time. So he opened his platform, and he tried to prove something. To who? To strangers on the internet who don't know he exists. That's when I realized. The market wasn't destroying him, social media was. A single Twitter post triggering inadequacy destroyed the profits he'd earned through patience and proper execution in one session. This wasn't the first time we'd had this conversation. Over the past 6 months, I'd watched a pattern develop. Every time he had a good trading day, he'd check social media. And every time he checked social media, something shifted. He'd see someone's Lamborghini, someone's Rolex, someone's penthouse view, someone's massive win, someone risking $20,000 per trade, and whatever calm, disciplined state he'd been in would evaporate. Suddenly, he wasn't trading his strategy anymore. He was trading to catch up, to prove he could do it too, to show he wasn't behind. But here's what he couldn't see. And here's what I had to help him understand. He wasn't behind. He was on a completely different timeline, and comparing timelines is what was killing him. Let me back up and tell you how this started. 6 months ago, everything was going really well. He'd been trading for about 18 months. He'd figured out his strategy. He was consistent. 3 to 4 trades a week. Small, steady growth. Nothing dramatic, but profitable. Sustainable. He'd managed to achieve consistency in his charts and his life that most people never reach. He wasn't on social media much back then. He'd check it occasionally, but he wasn't obsessed. Then one day, he saw a post from someone he used to know. Same age. Started trading around the same time. Posted a screenshot of a $12,000 week. My friend had made $800 that week. He was proud of it. Until he saw that post. The moment he saw it, all sense of achievement vanished. He no longer felt successful, he felt inadequate. 12,000. Same age, same starting point. Or so he thought. That's when the comparison started. He began following trading accounts, watching their posts, seeing their wins. And slowly, without realizing it, his entire psychology changed. He stopped measuring himself against his own progress. He started measuring himself against strangers. And that measurement destroyed him, because he'd entered an impossible race. He threw himself into this race when he couldn't even be sure if the trades these people were posting were real. Here's what would happen. He'd have a good trade, make $200, feel great. Then he'd open Instagram, see someone post a $5,000 day, and suddenly his $200 felt worthless. He'd feel like he wasn't doing enough, wasn't risking enough, wasn't aggressive enough. So the next trade, he'd size up, take more risk, force a setup that wasn't quite ready. He'd tell himself he was being bold, but really he was being insecure. And insecurity in trading always costs money, or he'd have a losing trade. Normal, part of the game. But then he'd see someone posting about their perfect win rate, 7 trades, 7 wins. And he'd feel like a failure. He'd question everything, his strategy, his ability, whether he was cut out for this. And that doubt would make him either skip the next good setup or force a revenge trade. Either way, he wasn't trading his system anymore. He was trading his emotions. Emotions triggered by comparing himself to people he didn't even know. He'd managed to become more consistent than most traders, but because of social media, he threw all that discipline away. I watched this cycle repeat for months. Good trading week. Check social media. See someone doing better. Feel worthless. Trade emotionally, give back the gains, start over. He couldn't see it, but I could. The pattern was obvious from the outside. So one night, after another one of these calls, I asked him a question. How much do you actually know about these people you're comparing yourself to? He paused, then said, nothing really, just what they post. Exactly. That's the problem. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. You're seeing their one great trade. You're not seeing the 20 losing trades they didn't post. You're seeing their Lamborghini. You're not seeing the 3 years they spent broke before they got there. You're seeing their month 24. You're in month 18, and you're wondering why you're not there yet. That's not being behind. That's called a timeline. Not everyone can reach the same place at the same time. Some might arrive early but can't manage to stay there. Others arrive later but achieve sustainable success once they get there. We don't know what path they've taken. We're not even sure if the people we're looking at are real. I've even witnessed some people using social media just to share their winning trades. They never share any trade where they got stopped out. How can you trust the authenticity of someone who doesn't share a single losing trade? How does that make sense? They're probably marketing themselves to sell more spots in their next course, only sharing winning trades to create FOMO for their program. Meanwhile, you're seeing all this and feeling inadequate. How absurd, I thought to myself. Let me tell you about 2 different traders I know. Both started trading around the same time as my friend. Similar skill levels, we could say. Their strategies aren't drastically different either. The amounts they risk per trade are roughly the same. Let's call them Brandon and Steven. Brandon is on social media constantly. Twitter, Instagram, trading Discord servers. He sees every post, every win, every loss, every hot take. He's always comparing, always measuring, always wondering if he's doing enough. Steven deleted all his social media 6 months into trading. Not forever. Just during trading hours. From market open to market close, his phone is on airplane mode. No posts, no comparisons, no distractions. Just him and his strategy. 2 years later, here's where they are. Brandon is still break even, some months up, some months down. But no real progress. Why? Because he can't stay consistent. Every time he sees someone doing something different, he questions his approach. Every time he sees someone winning big, he feels pressure to do the same. He's constantly changing, constantly chasing, constantly comparing. Steven is profitable, not rich, not posting screenshots, but consistently growing his account. Why? Because he only competes with one person. Yesterday's version of himself. That's it. Did I trade better today than I did yesterday? Did I follow my rules better this week than last week? Am I more disciplined this month than last month? Those are the only comparisons he makes. And because he's only competing with himself, he can actually see his progress. He doesn't need his attention scattered by what everyone else is doing. He's focused on what he's doing. And that focus makes all the difference. When I told my friend about Brandon and Steven, something clicked. He realized he'd become Brandon. He was so busy watching everyone else's race that he'd stopped running his own. He was so focused on where other people were that he'd lost track of where he was going. And that awareness, that moment of seeing the pattern clearly, that's when things started to change. But awareness alone wasn't enough. He needed to make a decision. And the decision wasn't easy, because here's the thing about social media. It feels productive. It feels like you're staying informed, learning, keeping up with the market. But for him, it had become poison. Every post was a trigger. Every screenshot was a comparison. Every success story was a reminder that he felt behind. So I asked him a hard question. What if you deleted it? Not forever. Just during trading hours. Just while the market is open. Can you handle not knowing what everyone else is doing for a few hours a day? He laughed, said it felt extreme. But then he thought about it. What was he actually getting from social media during trading hours? Information he needed? No. Motivation? Maybe sometimes. But more often it was comparison, insecurity, distraction, FOMO. So he tried it, just for 1 week, deleted Twitter and Instagram from his phone, set a rule, no social media from market open to market close. After hours, he could check if he wanted, but during trading, complete blackout. How hard could implementing this decision be, he thought. And he started trying. The first day felt strange. He told me he kept reaching for his phone out of habit, wanting to check, wanting to see what people were posting. But there was nothing to check. So he just sat with his charts, watched his setups, took his trades, and something interesting happened. He felt calm. More calm than he'd felt in months. No urgency, no pressure, no feeling like he needed to prove something, just execution. He took 2 trades that day. Both followed his rules perfectly. One won, one lost. Net result, small profit. Nothing dramatic. But here's what was different. He didn't feel bad about it. He didn't feel like it wasn't enough, because he had nothing to compare it to. He didn't see anyone's $50,000 day that might not even be real. He didn't see anyone's rented Lamborghini. He just saw his own result, and his own result was good. He followed his plan. He executed well. That was enough. Day 2, same thing. Day 3, he told me he forgot to even think about checking social media. He was too focused on his own trading. By the end of the week, he called me, said something I'll never forget. He said, "I feel like I'm trading for the first time in months, like I'm actually trading my strategy instead of reacting to my emotions. And my emotions were being controlled by strangers I've never met. When you think about it, that's insane." He'd become a different trader now. Checking social media while trading isn't just bad because of the comparison trap. It's also a factor that clearly increases your potential to make mistakes in work that requires focus, like trading, especially if you're day trading. Browsing social media during the day or during your trading sessions might be one of the reasons you can never reflect your true potential. I recommend you eliminate your social media interactions during the hours you trade, because even if you look during a brief 5-minute break, you can be influenced without wanting to or even realizing it. We're already doing difficult work. There's no need to make it even harder for ourselves. Let's continue with our story, but the real test came a few weeks later. He'd had a great week, made about $1,000. Best week he'd had in a while, and out of habit, he opened Instagram after the market closed. Saw a post, someone he follows, posted a $10,000 week. The old version of him would have felt crushed, would have felt like his $1,000 was nothing, would have opened the platform and tried to make more, would have forced trades to catch up. But this time, something was different. He looked at the post, felt a tiny bit of that old feeling starting, that comparison starting to creep in. But then he stopped, and he asked himself the question I'd taught him to ask. Is this person's week relevant to my plan? Are they trading my strategy? Do they have my capital? Are they on my timeline? Are they dealing with my life circumstances? The answer to all of those was no. So their result, no matter how impressive, was completely irrelevant to his journey. It wasn't a reflection on him. It wasn't proof he was behind. It was just someone else's data point. And data points from different experiments can't be compared. He closed Instagram, opened his journal, wrote down what he'd done well that week, what he'd learned, what he'd improve next week. And he went to bed. No forced trades, no desperation, no comparison. Just focus on his own path. He'd adopted the right approach and was undoubtedly rewarded by the market for it. His internal restlessness had decreased. He felt more aligned. 3 months went by. He stayed off social media during trading hours, and I watched him transform, not into someone making $50,000 a month, but into someone who was finally consistent, finally calm, finally present with his own trading instead of distracted by everyone else's. His account grew, not dramatically, but steadily. More importantly, his mindset changed. He stopped feeling behind, stopped feeling like he needed to catch up, stopped feeling like he was in a race. He realized something that most traders never realize. There is no race. Everyone is on their own timeline. Someone who's been trading for 5 years and making $50,000 a month is not ahead of you if you've been trading for 18 months and making $1,000. They're just further along their own path, and their path has nothing to do with yours. Different starting capital, different risk tolerance, different life situation, different strategy, different personality. Comparing your Chapter 3 to someone else's Chapter 20 is pointless. It's not even the same book. One night, about 4 months after he deleted social media during trading hours, he called me again. But this time, his voice was different. calm, grounded. He told me he'd just had his best month ever. Not his biggest profit month, his best month. Because he'd followed his rules every single day. He hadn't forced a single trade. He hadn't let a single loss shake him. He hadn't felt behind once. He'd just shown up, executed his plan, and let the results take care of themselves. And the results were good. But more importantly, he was happy. He said something that stuck with me. He said, "I don't even remember most of those people I used to compare myself to. I forgot they existed. And the moment I forgot they existed, my trading got better. Because I stopped trying to be them, and I started being me." That's when I knew he'd figured it out. The comparison trap isn't just about social media. It's about where you put your attention. If your attention is on other people's results, you can't focus on your own process. And if you can't focus on your own process, you'll never get consistent results. It's that simple. Trading is not something to take lightly. That's why we must approach it with the right frameworks. If you trade desperately to suppress your feelings of inadequacy even slightly that day, you will undoubtedly get stopped out. Naturally, since comparison creates inadequacy, it inevitably produces bad results. The feeling of progress and success, however, returns to you as personal satisfaction and confidence. That's why you gradually start getting better. My friend changed one simple thing, and his entire trading life changed. Now, I'm not saying, my friend, never check social media anymore. He does. After hours, when the market is closed, when he's not in trading mode. And you know what's interesting? It doesn't affect him the same way anymore. He can see someone's big win and feel genuinely happy for them. No jealousy, no insecurity, no need to prove anything. Because he's not comparing anymore. He's just observing. And there's a massive difference between comparing and observing. Comparing makes you feel less than. Observing is just information. The ability to see someone else's success without making it mean something about himself, that's what finally set him free. He's not richer than those people posting their wins. He might never be. And he's okay with that. Because he's not trying to be them. He's trying to be the best version of himself. And the best version of himself doesn't need external validation, doesn't need to prove anything to strangers, doesn't need to keep up with anyone's timeline but his own. If you're reading this and you feel behind, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be on your timeline. The person posting their massive win, you don't know their story. You don't know how long they've been doing this. You don't know how much they've lost along the way. You don't know what their life looks like behind the screenshot. You're comparing your whole messy reality to their one polished moment. And that comparison is destroying your peace and your trading. My friend learned this the hard way. He spent 6 months letting strangers on the internet control his emotions, control his decisions, control his results. And it cost him money, cost him confidence, cost him progress. But the moment he stopped comparing and started focusing on his own path, everything changed. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily, consistently. And in trading, steady and consistent beats dramatic and explosive every single time. So if you need to hear this, hear it. From someone who watched his friend almost destroy himself with comparison. Delete the apps during trading hours. Stop measuring yourself against strangers. Compete with yesterday's version of you. That's the only comparison that matters. And when you finally let go of everyone else's timeline and focus on your own, you'll find something better than a big win. You'll find peace. And in trading, peace is everything.